Hi, I'm Luke McGinnis. I am the sales director here at Pacvue. I've been at Pacvue for about a year now. Before Pacvue, I spent 5 years at Amazon on the sponsored products team. So from 2014 to 2019, I was at Amazon on that team, kind of preparing for Prime Day on that front. Now I'm working with agencies on the software vendor side, and we got a lot of exciting things coming up. Pacvue is a full suite ad management software system. We work with a lot of top brands and agencies. Today on the call, we have Molzi, who's one of those agencies that uses Pacvue. And what we're going to discuss is Prime Day strategies and how to get ready and geared up for Prime Day. Hi, guys. You want to go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Yeah, thanks, Luke. I'm Chris from Molzi. I set up the agency about 3.5 years ago now. We've grown pretty quickly to a team of just over 50 people. Mainly focused in Europe, but also with a team in Hong Kong, and also operating in markets like Brazil, India, Japan. Very much a full service agency, so alongside the advertising that we do for our clients, we also get involved in a lot of the operational challenges, reducing chargebacks, forecasting stock. So definitely a lot of the key actions that are relevant for Prime Day, and especially as we come into Q4.
Awesome. Hi guys, I'm David, and I've joined the Molzi team in August of this year as head of advertising and DSP. My experience spans 7.5 years over the media agency landscape. Before my time at Molzi, I was part of the Omnicom Media Group as digital investment director. And that job and role saw me overseeing all things programmatic and DSP, from upselling to day-to-day best practices. And before then, I was part of the Density Aegis group, where I was from trading executive all the way up to senior trader, where I was hands-on keyboard execution manager for all things programmatic and DSP.
Awesome. Well, exciting. I mean, this year's a wild year, a little bit different in terms of Prime Day. It's been pushed out a few times. And, you know, I think the big thing on everyone's mind is how important is Prime Day this year for brands?
So in my view, it's more important than ever. I guess we all had a kind of Black Friday or Christmas period in March, April time, where we saw kind of unbelievable spikes for most categories, obviously not all categories. But I guess the difference here is in March and April, brands either benefited or didn't benefit based on what was their stock position at the time. There was no one really planning, obviously, for that kind of surge in sales. So what Prime Day and the rest of Q4 allows brands is a period where everyone can benefit from what's just going to be the biggest Q4 on Amazon, with instead of everyone being focused on 2 weekends in the whole of the quarter, it's pretty much going to be a full quarter of activity. So absolutely crucial for brands and a massive opportunity.
Absolutely. And I think also from a customer experience as well, it's quite an interesting point in time where I think Prime Day almost acts as a bit of normality for the consumer. I think kickstarting the holiday Christmas gifting season is something that I think we're all looking forward to. Something to look forward to from a consumer perspective to really kind of ramp up towards the good feeling of Christmas for sure. So yeah, I think it's not just brands who are benefiting from this, but also the end consumer as well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Something I'm excited for is knocking out all my holiday shopping in October, just hitting everyone on Prime Day,
Yeah.
and covering everyone from my grandma to my aunt, getting everyone out of the way. So I'm excited about that on my end. You know, this year there was a lot of inventory issues due to COVID and supply chain issues on Amazon that affected certain categories. Do brands need to plan differently for that for Prime Day 2020, do you think?
Yeah, so I guess ever since we were aware of the Prime Day kind of pushback date, or the varying different pushback dates of Prime Day, it's always been a question that we've had. Are consumers still going to wait for Black Friday, because that's traditionally when best deals have been, and consumers have kind of delayed their shopping until, or are they going to see it as a benefit that there's an additional promotion period earlier? So we actually did a survey for 1,000 Amazon consumers in the UK, and basically asked them that question. We said, if Prime Day was in October, because at the time it wasn't confirmed, what would be your expectation for how it would affect your shopping habits? And we actually had 80% of the people we asked responded saying that they were planning to make a purchase on Prime Day. And in terms of the reasons, a bit like you said just before, I think people in March, April realized that stock isn't necessarily available. There was, certainly in the UK, there was people fighting over toilet rolls. There's people that would pay any amount of money for hand sanitizer. There was trampolines sold out, when the lockdown kicked in. So it seems to be consumers are thinking a bit like you said, let's make these purchases early instead of doing what we would traditionally do and wait for the deepest discounts later in the quarter. In terms of how brands can prepare, it was clear for certain product categories in March, April, where FBA, for example, put restrictions if it wasn't classed as a key category. So definitely now is the time to be preparing not just your inventory for the quarter, but also maybe having a fallback fulfillment solution, fulfilled by merchant option. Because if FBA wasn't able to cope in March, April, imagine what it's going to be like in Q4 with similar kind of surges of demand, but on top of what's already a massive sales period.
Great. Yeah, good insights there. And, due to COVID-19 this year, I think we saw a pretty, e-commerce saw a pretty big acceleration, right? A lot of new customers, new to brands. With so many new shoppers online, how can brands maximize their reach and increase those sales?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think this really presents a lot of brands with a prime opportunity to reach consumers who may not have been confident or comfortable with the online shopping experience. And I think the onus is on us as an industry to really kind of take that into consideration, especially from an advertising and branding perspective. As we all know, no consumer journey is the same as another person. They're all unique in their own way, and that's for us to really utilize and extrapolate from the data which we have to hand. One of the great products that we can utilize to really extrapolate this is demand-side platform, and that's allowing us to utilize clients onboarding first-party data to really maximize the users that we go after, intelligently utilize their budget, making sure that we also respect people's online browsing behaviors by retargeting them intelligently, and also utilizing metrics such as audience suppression as well to really make sure that we target the right people at the right place and at the right time as well.
Awesome. Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to my grandfather the other day. He lives in a 300-person town in Montana, done everything the same way his whole life, and now he is a big Amazon user. He shops on Amazon. He's like, Luke, you work at Amazon. He still thinks I work there, and he's like, get me a discount. And still funny how it works. But someone like that is an avid user now, so I can't even imagine the growth across the U.S. as well as globally. So with that being said, how has shopping behavior changed? Is it more searching, browsing? Is it larger bundle packages? Like, what have you guys seen in terms of shopper behavior?
I guess the most fundamental change has obviously been the shift from retail to e-commerce, and that's something that was forced upon people at the start when retail was closed down. But like you just said about your grandfather, like now people who've tasted Amazon have got to have a real reason to go back. Mm-hmm. And I think what we saw in March and April with Amazon, because obviously a lot of other e-commerce platforms were still shipping, other retailers were still able to ship from online. But certainly in the UK, and I guess it was replicated in the US and elsewhere in the world, Amazon almost took this position as like a utility company to people. People weren't even thinking of it as a retailer. They were thinking of it as Amazon is helping me through this crisis. It's helping me entertain my children. It's helping me feed my dog. It's helping deliver food to my house. So I think where people received those deliveries still next day, and in most cases, even when Amazon pushed out expected delivery dates, and maybe they were let down by some other e-commerce platforms at the same time. I think that people are really going to be thinking, why would I buy anywhere from Amazon this Q4? Because I definitely want to receive the product. Amazon have proved that they can handle the surge in demand. And again, with this survey, we asked customers what's going to drive your purchase decision in Q4, and the biggest single element of 57% of the people we asked was delivery time and delivery. I guess confidence in delivery. So in terms of shopper behavior, it's clearly moved retail to e-commerce, and I think delivery stability and dependability is really what's front of customers' mind.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think there's a big question I've been asked on a daily basis lately. Which categories do you see having the most to gain in Prime Day? Which ones do you think will have the most growth and the most opportunity?
Yeah, so again, we asked the consumers this question on the survey, and the usual categories that you expect, things like electronics, personal goods, I guess food and drinks in Europe, the beer, wine, and spirits category is a significant category of Amazon, and certainly when lockdown kicked in and all of the pubs were closed, you know, the alcohol brands that we work with, you know, saw unbelievable sales. And I can only imagine what they're going to be in Christmas and New Year's. So I think there's probably only a handful of categories that aren't, you know, I would guess that fashion and clothing probably isn't going to maybe capitalize on the opportunity as well as some categories, because things like Christmas parties maybe aren't able to happen now. But certainly, you know, anything where the traditional channel has previously been independent stores or bricks and mortar, things like toys, baby products, I think we're going to see people absolutely rushing at Black Friday, at their Prime Day, just to secure the things that they want. And like you say, just tick the list off nice and early and not have to worry about it.
Yeah, Chris, I think a lot of those alcohol sales were on my end. I had my first son right before quarantine started, so I've been locked down with a newborn the last 10 months. So a big spike of that would have been fun.
Yeah, I think so. Schools closed, children in the house equals whiskey, gin, and beer sales through the roof.
Yep, that's what I'm looking for. Good stuff. And, you know, on top of that, I think electronics was a good one too. You know, being in my, you know, building out my home office, I'm looking to add computer screens and monitors and flat screens and all that good stuff to make my work at home experience a little bit easier. And I'm assuming that's going to be kind of a common theme across the country with a lot of people going remote. So good call on consumer electronics.
Probably when the lockdown first happened and people were forced into remote working, my assumption is that, you know, companies had to react quickly and get equipment for their teams to work remotely. Maybe they weren't the most thought through decisions. They were right, we need to get 50 laptops, we need to get 50 screens. And now that remote working's becoming more of a long-term part of most companies' plans now, there's probably that refresh cycle where people are saying, well, actually, we need to invest in the right equipment rather than just something that we can get quickly. So yeah, I think categories like laptops, IT equipment, probably even like furniture, home furniture, is going to definitely see a strong period.
Good, yeah. Now, in terms of timing, when should brands update their brand store? When should they turn on retargeting? How long should it run? In regards to timing, what are you guys seeing, or kind of what are you advising there?
Yeah, I think with regards to that, ideally, there's as much lead time for the brands to get sufficient data as possible. It is not a one-size-fits-all, unfortunately, by category or by product, but definitely having the lead-up time of ideally at least a week to get the pages uploaded and updated, to get that data ingested, and then to take those learnings and to apply those to our advertising and content is crucial. I think retargeting as well to create that brand messaging and the storytelling that we can provide our consumers via paid media, I think is also crucial. And I think making sure that we identify customers who can generate high value to our brands are proactively messaged via retargeting methods. Whereas also conversely, the opposite of that might be the case as well. So users who we've identified as low value, non-converting customers, we might actually want to suppress those users well in advance of Prime Day to make sure that we maximize our media investment from the get-go.
Awesome, good stuff. And you know, when it comes to Prime Day, a lot of brands they're wondering, how do you decide if it's successful? What are some things a brand can look at to define success on Prime Day?
I think the great thing with Prime Day this year being so close to Black Friday is it kind of gives brands the opportunity for a bit of a trial run of the more traditional Christmas period. So certainly we'll be for our clients, we'll be looking at deals that we've agreed for Prime Day, which ones are selling out more than expected, which ones are maybe a bit slower than expected, so that we can address for the following promotion periods. but also giving us a good insight into what our competitors are going to be doing, because probably the strategy for Prime Day is going to be relatively similar to later in the year. So yeah, I think it's really a good opportunity for brands to look at what kind of uplifts. We all know it's going to be a massive Q4. Prime Day is our first glimpse into what does a promotional period in Q4 during a partial worldwide lockdown look like on Amazon, and then obviously react as needed for the rest of the period.
Great, thank you, Chris. And David, something I get asked is, you know, it's with brands that have a lot of brand recognition already. They're like, our organic sales are already great. You know, we have great organic sales. We have great brand recognition. Why do I need advertising? What do you say to that?
Yeah, for sure. I think we get that question a lot from our clients, obviously. I think it's great to see organic sales doing well, but I think advertising definitely has its place with their execution from that perspective. I think ensuring that you can lock the brand messaging on Amazon to make sure that competitors aren't stealing your space in such a crucial part of the Amazon ecosystem, I think is incredibly important for brands to protect. I think ensuring that you've got the brand visibility throughout the entire user journey as well is crucial, not just within Amazon, but also off Amazon ecosystem as well. So that might be across the open marketplace, for example. To make sure that you've got that visibility, you've got the narrative and storytelling through the consumers end to end is crucial. And again, it's all about incrementality. It's all about driving those additional sales that you wouldn't have otherwise achieved through just organic activity. And I think paid advertising through analysis that we've done reporting has really proven its worth, especially when it comes to the combination of DSP and paid PPC activity as well, and making sure that that entire user journey is followed through from end to end.
Great. Yeah, I agree. I'm glad you brought up DSP there. I've been telling my a lot of brands I'm working with, you got to look at everything in a holistic view. You know, pay the sponsored products, sponsored brands, sponsored display, DSP. Really have a mix of everything dialed in there. And if you have a good strategy going into Q4, I think you're going to be successful. You know, in my opinion, I think Q4 is a Super Bowl, right? For e-commerce, for a lot of brands on Amazon. And Prime Day this year is going to be the kickoff, right? That's the first kickoff to the holiday season, to the Super Bowl. So, you know, how can brands be strategic with their deals going into this kickoff on Prime Day?
Yeah, I think so. I'd say that the most important bit is don't waste inventory. A lot of brands are coming out of March, April with supply chain issues, because who was expecting that kind of surge of sales at that period? So if you're a brand that's, you know, getting their supply chain just about back on track, we know there's going to be a massive surge of demand in Q4, like there would be any year. So I think deals for the sake of deals should be, you know, maybe considered rather than an automatic. If you've got products where you think you probably sell through the inventory, probably best not to focus on deals. And the other thing is how you're going to link those deals that you do with advertising. Because we did a test Prime Day last year where we ran various deals with and without advertising. We ran some products with no deal but advertising. And what we found was the products where we just ran deals but without advertising to support, there was relatively small uplift, in some cases even a decline in sales year on year. Where we ran products with no deal but advertising support, we saw an uplift. But where we really won was where we ran deals and backed it up with an advertising campaign, and that's where we saw the kind of triple-digit growth. So it's definitely not just a case of doing deals for the sake of it. If you can't afford to do deals and advertising, our experience is that it's better to continue an optimized advertising strategy rather than just kind of getting carried away by the time of year and doing deals for the sake of it.
Yeah, great advice there. You know, David, in terms of cross-selling strategies, Q4 in the past, it's always been an important part of Q4 is cross-selling strategies. Will that continue this year? A little bit different of a year. Do you think cross-sell strategies will still be prevalent?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a prime time to really maximize and utilize cross-selling opportunities. Looking at the analytics, brand halo effect is really strong, and I think being able to drive users to your brand store page and for users to then explore the product offering within your client's portfolio, I think is critical. I think the knock-on impact on that is gained efficiency from a media perspective, but then also from a content perspective as well. And I think clients are currently at the moment probably wanting to be quite restrictive with their media investment for obvious reasons. And I think being able to leverage on metrics and the data that we can get from the likes of brand halo effect is crucial. And I think the cross-selling that comes with that at this time of year really kind of brings to light the effects of advertising, but then also the data that we can get on the back of that. And how to identify products that we need to push more from an advertising perspective? How do we identify products that we need to push more from a content perspective?
Great, yeah. Well, David, Chris, it's always a pleasure speaking with the guys from Molzi. You know your stuff. It's clear in that regard. I think we can all agree, though, it's now's the time, right? Let's get. If I was a brands, if I'm an agency, whatever it is, I think now's the time to start gearing up for Prime Day. Get your campaigns in order. Get your budget set up. Get your brand store dialed in. You know, it's go time. All hands on deck. I think it's time to get headed in that direction. So. I'm here to help. I know you guys are. If anyone out there needs questions or has questions, we're here to answer them. So, like I said, let's go. Prime Day time. It's time to kick off that Super Bowl. Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, Luke. Thanks for having us.
Thanks so much, Luke. Pleasure.
Appreciate it.